All right, now we move on to new business. Thank you for your cooperation. The chair lays out House Bill 3006 and recognizes Chairman Canales to explain his bill.
Thank you, members of the committee, chairman. Um, Everybody in here feels how cool it is, the air condition. We have a serious problem in Texas. We're cooking prisoners, cooking them. Heat indexes rise to as high as 140 degrees. This isn't tough on crime. Some of these people are in there for minor offenses, nonviolent offenses, and they're dying. So your local county jails, even your animal shelters, are required to maintain temperatures from 65 to 85. State prisons should at least meet those standards. Extreme heat poses a serious risk of heat stroke, dehydration, and even death, and we've seen death. The reality is we've got inmates that flood the toilets so that they can get about an inch of water on the ground and sleep on the ground, and they've testified before. They wake up and the ground's bone dry. If you've never visited a prison, if you think this is tough on crime, I urge you. I walked in, I actually went in with a New York Times person doing an investigative piece on Texas. The reporter couldn't make it. They're in there, they're not even dressed. They're in there almost buck naked. They've got boxer shorts on. They're covered in sweat. The fans that blow air in are blowing hot air from inside. This is third world crap that we're doing to people. Being in jail is a punishment enough. Torturing you to where you can't breathe. We've heard testimony from lawyers that have come up and talked to you in previous sessions, and this bill has made it out of this committee or the committees that it's been assigned to on 3 sessions. We've voted it out of the House. The Senate just won't take it up. I encourage you to vote this out of here. This is the right thing to do. The amount of money that we've lost in litigation for people dying in prison far outweighs what we could have already done to air condition parts of these facilities, at least the bedrooms. The index heats are roughly anywhere between 95 and 101 degrees inside the prison. It does not cool down at night, not much. And if I'd ask you, if, when you get in your car, here when it gets a little warmer, get in there when it's 120 degrees and see what it feels like. See how hard it is to breathe. Go home, crank your air conditioner up to 85, 90 degrees and see how hard it is to sleep. Now put yourself in a room with 50, 60 other men. The smell is unbearable. I'm going to tell you that I've visited more than one of these places. You leave with a taste in your mouth. It's a taste of the filth because of the amount of sweat. These guys, the facility in my district has, I think it had 5 showers. 4 of them were scorching hot water and had one cool water. They take rotations trying to get in that water all day. Like I said, most of these guys are nonviolent offenders. They're in there for a drug charge or something, and we're killing them. Women too. And so the reality is we've got to do better. We've got to be better. They say you can judge a society on how they keep their prisoners. If they judge us by that way, we're third world. Texas, our citizens, these are Texas citizens. And so this is not tough on crime. This is cruel and unusual punishment. I think we've got a couple witnesses, but what I will tell you is that in addition to the prisoners, heat aggravates you. You get angry, you get annoyed, and so it creates violence in the prison, but you've got a huge turnover of guards that can't deal with it either. And so what we've got is a huge turnover of guards. We've got angry prisoners. We've got people dying. And so the House has passed this, like I said, more than once, and I would ask you to pass it out again. We've got to keep sending it to the Senate. This bill does a phasing. It's not the whole thing, and it starts to work on different areas of those prisons. The educational spaces, for instance, the housing, maybe the chapel. But the reality is your help to move this again and get this out of this committee and push it to the Senate again. This is a topic that happens year after year, and summer's coming. And most of those buildings, some of them are over 100 years old. They need to be retrofitted. But I would ask you that, and for those of you that are worried that your constituency thinks this is tough on crime, this was not a primary subject. This is not something that anybody's arguing about. And Texas continuously loses over and over and over at this court for people that have died in the wrongful death suits that are brought. With that, I stand for questions. If not, I'll ask for the privilege to close.
You'll certainly be given that, members. Are there any questions for Chairman Canales?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Bud.
Hang tight, sir.
Yeah, gotcha.
The chair recognizes Representative Mazur for what purpose?
Ask a question.
You may.
So I can't afford to spend a lot of money on air conditioning my home during the summer, so I have my thermostat kind of high. And so we hear the argument about this that, well, there are people out in our communities who can't afford air conditioning. Why are we allowing it for prisoners? But as I understand it, Chairman Canales, we're not talking about air conditioning them at 68 degrees,
No, ma'am.
cold comfort. We're talking about maybe like 80 degrees.
Just getting it to 85 would be a huge, huge step. To get it to 85 degrees, I'm telling you that there's been heat indexes that have been reported in my office that we've received through TDCJ that are absolutely astounding. You're talking 120, 130 degrees, and they've got fans, but they're just blowing hot air, and that doesn't help. I can tell you that personally, I couldn't breathe in there. I walked out and I was drenched, just covered in sweat with a t-shirt, and I was in there 15, 20 minutes. One of the inmates actually had a broomstick where he would turn off the fan because the way that the sun would sit, it would set right there during the day, and he would turn off the fan because it was blowing hotter air in there. And so and that's because we were coming. And there's no doubt in my mind that things were cleaned up and made a lot better looking because there was going to be some representatives coming to see it. But their water jugs, I opened them. They're filthy. They're not iced. It's unbelievable. And if I really encourage you, if you've never been to one, go do it. Wear a t-shirt, I promise you. But go do it so you can see it. So you can see that nobody deserves to be treated like this. Nobody signs up for to be cooked, and they're cooking them.
And while maybe no one in here would set their thermostat on 85 degrees this summer, it might make the difference between life and death, don't you think?
No, it's not. It's not a might. We have killed several people this last summer. I think I'm not going to make up a number, but I promise you that more than 3 people died last summer in the jails. There's no medical kind of diagnosis, but we know what it is. They're heat strokes. These are people in their 30s. It's the situation is dire, and what this bill does is it doesn't say we're going to do them all at once. We're going to start phasing it in and working on it. I would love to do it all at once because I've seen the conditions, but this is a compromise bill, and like I said, it's made it out of committee. It's made it past the House floor. We're just going to need to keep kicking it to the Senate till somebody grows a damn conscience.
My other question is that in talking about this topic in past sessions, I've heard people don't have very much compassion for the prisoners. They say, hey, they committed a crime. We don't need to be treating them great. But don't we have other people in the prisons
That's right.
who are not prisoners?
The guards are the
cafeteria people or other kind of workers there that are also suffering from the
all
heat?
of that. The turnover is incredible. We have people we keep losing people because they can't stand the heat. Literally,
And the guards have to wear lots of extra layers of clothing, don't they?
The prisoners are almost naked. That's what they're down to. I walked in and 90% of them were just in white cotton boxers and dripping in sweat.
But the guards?
The guards are in uniform.
And they have to wear the
They don't get to get down to their skivvies.
multiple
No.
layers, don't they?
No, they've got layers and they've got shirts and uniforms, etc. Yeah, the guards have it pretty rough. It's a bad situation all the way around. But I'll tell you, I don't know if y'all or some of you are too young to remember. There's a movie called Breaking Down. It had Dustin Hoffman, and the beginning of the movie, it gets real hot and he loses his damn mind. People are I was losing my mind in there, and I was just in there for a bit. And what they will do is they'll offer the prisoner respite, where there's a little cool area where you can walk out of this thing, and they give them 15 minutes at a time, stuff like that. But those guys don't sleep. They don't sleep. It's crazy. The guy said, I haven't slept in a week. It's disgusting. On many levels, it's disgusting to be in there. I'm telling you, there's an actual taste to how nasty it is.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Representative Lowe for what purpose?
Questions?
You may proceed.
Thank you for bringing this important bill. I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I have friends that are corrections officers, and they say it's pretty damn hot. The Eighth Amendment is against cruel and unusual punishment. But my question is the cost. I don't have the fiscal note in front of me, so can you just kind of explain the costs and the ongoing costs that would be required to keep this going?
Yeah, so this bill sets up a process by which TDCJ is going to phase in the installation of climate control systems in some facilities over the next 10 years. And so I'd love to see it done a lot faster, but this is a compromise bill. And basically we're trying to get it to 85 degrees, which is livable. Each phase of the installation will cover approximately 1/3 of the department's facilities at a cost not to exceed $100 million per phase every 2 years. So by the end of the calendar years 2028, 2030, 2032, we believe we can make a huge dent in the amount of facilities that are increased don't have these facilities. I'm sorry, I won't say amenities. Well, I'll say just air conditioning. Period. So it allows the use of inmate labor also to reduce the costs, which is a big deal. Some of them have been taught air conditioning, et cetera. But the taxpayers are already footing an incredible bill because there's litigation abounds. This is actually now, so this is a cottage industry for lawyers. There's a whole group of lawyers that are making a whole hell of a lot of money because they've already set the precedent and already shown, and the court rulings show. And so every time somebody gets hurt, every time somebody has a stroke, we're dishing out by the millions. We lose. It's already a precedent that you lose, and so it's a cottage industry. And so if we don't do anything about it, it just becomes more and more expensive, the litigation. And there's tons of litigation as it stands right now over last summer, and every summer there's buku cases filed on this.
Okay, I guess did you bring a resource witness today?
There's some here.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
you.
Chairman
Thank
Canales.
you.
We'll get you back up.